Hi everyone, welcome back to another class of pronunciation in use level intermediate. Today we're taking a look at unit 26. The title is Paul's Calls, Max's Faxes. So this is working on S endings, like how we pronounce the S ending, right? So I'm going to get into this. It says most of the time when you add S, you don't get an extra syllable. For example, sometimes it's a plural S. Let's say I have book, and I add the S to it. Books. So book is one syllable. Let me write it. Book is one syllable. And then books is also one syllable. So I'm not getting an extra syllable here. Hi, English lover. I'm not getting an extra syllable here when I add S, and the pronunciation is se. One book, two books. Now I'll give you another example for ze. For example, it can also be for a verb. For example, talk. It can be a verb too. Talks. Again, it's one syllable, and talk is also one syllable. So when I'm adding S, I'm not adding any syllables. Let me see if it's for recording. Okay, so I'm not adding any syllables when I add S. You just get talks. Again, se sound here. So it can be when you make a plural sound, it can be when you add S to your verb, and it can also be when you are talking about possession. For example, Mike, right? And then I say Mike's car. It's like his car. So Mike is one syllable, and Mike's is also one syllable. So when I'm adding this S here, I'm not changing anything, just like Mike's, right? Again, one syllable, and the pronunciation is se. Now the pronunciation can also be a Z, like the Z sound sometimes. For example, I can give you examples. For example, books, no curtains, for example, or curtains, listens, Tom's. All the three cases, you see se, like you see the S letter, but the sound is Z. Curtains, listens, Tom's book. Hi, Helly. Tom's book, right? So we are saying that it's mostly se and it's mostly ze. Se and ze. But sometimes it's not like this, because all of them, for example, curtain is two syllable. Curtain. But then curtains is again two syllable. Listen, two syllable. Listens, two syllable. Tom, one syllable. Tom's, two syllable. Sorry, one syllable. So you see, it does not make a change. Most of the time, you just have the se sound and the ze sound when you add S. But sometimes you get is sound. For example, let's say this word. Where do I write it? I write it here. Box. Box is one syllable, right? Box is one syllable. But when I add S to it, it's no longer one syllable. It's two syllable, right? Then it's two syllable. Boxes. Now this is two syllable, because here this S that I'm adding, or ES actually here, that sounds like this. Is boxes. Maybe you can't see very well. Boxes. Boxes. So this is actually maybe the most challenging one a lot of students have problem with. But a lot of you actually have learned, like for example, language. I speak one language, I speak two languages, 3 languages, 4 languages. You're adding an extra syllable there, right? So that's something you have to be careful. But I told you, mostly it's se pronunciation and ze pronunciation, which doesn't change the number of syllables. But here, boxes, you're adding an extra syllable, which is is. So this is what the book is saying here. Now here we have some examples. So let's go to the examples and I'll play the CD for you with the British accent, I think. Yeah.
B23. Claire's chairs. Bob's jobs. Claire's chairs. Bob's jobs. Di's pies. Rose nose. Pat's hats.
So Claire's chairs. Z sound. Claire's chairs. Z sound. Bob's jobs. Z sound. Di's pies. Z sound. Rose nose. Z sound. But here it's se. Pats, hats, se sound. So now we're going to the next part. So be careful that mostly it's ze and se. Now we're going to talk about is too. Sometimes it's is. Now here we have some examples. I told you, for example, box. I told you box is one of them. So you have to look at the last sound. You say, teacher, X is not here. Why do we say boxes? Because it says if you want to add ES, you should hear these sounds. And I say, okay, you don't see S, but you hear S. Because when you say box, let me check it for you in dictionary. When you say box, you have the K and Se sound at the end of that. Yeah, you don't see that, but you hear that. It's about hearing this. People who were with me from the beginning of this class know it. Box is about the pronunciation of that. So at the end, although you see X, the pronunciation is KS, box, box. So because you have Se, you have to say boxes, boxes. Or I'm going to pronounce them for you. The first one, S, S. Second one, Sh, Sh. Third one, Z, Z. Fourth one, Ch, Ch. The fifth one is J, J. So these are the sounds that you have to be careful with. When you add S, you have to add ES. Now let's listen to some examples.
B24. Chris's kisses. The nurse's purses. Max's faxes. Trish's wishes. Rose's roses. The witch's watches. George's fridges.
Right, so you see, for example, here we have rose. We have the Z sound. So you have to say roses. Roses pronunciation. Or for example, wishes. We have the sh sound here. Wishes. And all the other example. George. We have the J sound at the end of our word. So when you add ES or when you add S, apostrophe S even, and the pronunciation changes to is. For example, fridges, because of the j that we have here. Now you don't see j sometimes, you should hear j. Or this one is che, which, whiches. For example, language. Language is here. I speak 3 languages. I speak 3 languages. It's also the es here, right? Okay, good. So this was actually the most important part. Here it says some speakers reduce it. For example, because we get a lot of consonants at the end of these words, they try to reduce it. For example, in some people, I don't usually do that. She never sends is a little hard. Sends. So they reduce it to sends. Sends. Right? Or lifts, they say like lifts. I don't usually do that. But they say if you want to pronounce it easier, sometimes you can remove some of the consonants if you get a lot of consonants at the end. For example, here you have consonant n, d, z. 3 consonants, so it's hard to pronounce 3 consonants at a time. So that's why people try to remove some of them. This one, tastes, expects, also another example. It's not very important, I would say, but yeah, you can do it if you want to pronounce easier, like more easily you want to do it. Now, why is it important to say the S, like the plural S or the Z sound? Because it changes meaning. Look at here. Jane's nose is different from Jane knows. So if you don't pronounce the S like Jane's, it sounds like Jane knows. Jane knows what? Jane knows Farsi. Jane knows English. So that's what I would say. Pronouncing that S actually matters because it can change meanings. Now listen to this.
B25.
She never sends birthday cards. The lift's broken. It tastes funny. That's what he expects.
B26.
Jane's nose. Jane knows.
Nick's waits. Nick waits.
My friend spends a lot. My friends spend a lot.
Our guest came late. Our guests came late.
So you see, for example, you can say, my friend spends a lot. You talk about one friend. But if you remove this S and put it here, it changes the meaning, of course. My friends together, all of them spend a lot, right? They spend a lot. Hi, teacher Arsalan, welcome. Yeah, hi, teacher, welcome. Thank you for your kind words. So now we're going to the exercise part. Let's see what you can tell me about it. This is where we're going to match them. So number 1 matches to B, right? Because foxes matches to boxes. Foxes, boxes. B is now gone. Now we go to the next one. Can you find a match for that? Can you find a match for that? Let me... Yes, can you find a match for that? Number 2 says, my nieces. Nieces. So the ending is like this, nieces. So you have to find something like that on the right. Nieces. Good. C. Good, sweet. Pieces. Exactly, the ending is the same. Pieces. They are actually rhymes. Yeah, they are rhymes, like nieces, pieces. Good. C is gone. So let's go to number 3. The witches. The witches. The witches, we have to find a rhyme for it. The next one, for example, Mr. Bridges. What is the difference here? Witches is like this. Chiz. But bridges is J. Bridges. It's like this. Bridges. Good, good. It's G. Switches. Witches. Yeah, G is the only one we have the ch sound. Good, sweet. Hi, Parisa. Welcome. Yes, good. So G is the answer for number 3. But number 4 is J. Bridges. So we have to find something like that for J. Bridges. Hi, Zahra. Welcome. Jones is like this. Jones. Ending. Chris's is like this. Chris's. Good English lover. A. Bridges, fridges. Good, sweet. Bridges, fridges. So there's a match there. We have Jones, Chris's, and this one, Anna's, I think. Depends on this name, how you pronounce this name. No, you would. I think you would say Anne's. Anne's. Okay. Good, Parisa. A, yes. Okay. So now we are here. Number 5, 6, 7. We should find a match for them. Jones. Owns. So you should look for owns. 5D. Very good. English lover and sweet. Mr. Jones picks up the phones. So yeah, Jones and phones, they're together. So we have 2 left on the right and we have 2 left on the left. So what would you say for number 6 or 7? Hi everyone who has just joined. Let's see what you say. This is Chris's. Chris's. This is Anne's. Anne is a name. So when you add S to it, it's Anne's. English girl. Sorry. English lover says E. Because we have another person who is English girl. Okay. E. Kisses. Yes. Chris's. Kisses. So that should be E. Good, sweet. And finally, Anne's has to go to plans. Yes, plans. Good. So that's the plural S. Sometimes it's plural S, sometimes it's apostrophe S, sometimes it's, I don't know, adding S to a verb. All of them, they have these rules that I told you. So there are basically 3 pronunciation. First pronunciation is se. Second pronunciation is ze. Third pronunciation is. For example, talks, buys, watches. Now I can also write nouns for you. For example, books, let's say bags and For example, watches. Watch is also a noun. Let me write another now. Buses. So you see, it can be a noun, it can be a plural noun, it can be a verb that has gotten the S. For example, he talks, he buys, he watches. So I'm going to pronounce them for you. Talks, books, buys, bags. Good. Boys. Yes, English lover. Boys, you can also say boys for bags. Watches and buses. Watches and buses. Good. So now we go to the next part. It says write the third person forms in the correct part of the table below. So let's see what we got. Oh, a picture is bad. Let me see. Okay, we're gonna put them in the right column. Can you see that okay now? The first row is one syllable. Okay, one syllable means it has se or ze sound. But the second one is two syllables, so it has the is sound. Okay, so for example, watch, watches goes to number 2. When you add s, goes to number 2, watches. But sing goes to sings, sings. Sings is number 1 because when you add s, the pronunciation does not get an extra syllable. The pronunciation stays the same. I mean, in terms of the number of syllables. Sing is one syllable. Sings is also one syllable. What about go? Go is one syllable. When you add s to go, do you get an extra syllable or no? You just have the same number of syllables. Question 1. You talk about go, yeah. When you add s to go, it's right that the spelling is es, right? But the pronunciation is still one syllable, so I put it in the first row. Go, one syllable. Goes, one syllable. Now let's go to get. Get. What do you think about that? Or dance. Some of them goes to the second row when you get two syllables. For example, watches. Kiss is one syllable, but when you add s, it's no longer one syllable because you say kisses, kisses. So this is number 2. And I can also write it for you. Kisses. Now it could be a verb, like somebody kisses somebody else, or it could be a noun, like you can use it as a noun too, plural now. Yes, get is number 1 because get and then gets, one syllable. Very good. Closes. Closes is number 2 because you get an extra syllable when you add the s. So that's closes. Closes. Comes, one syllable. Good English girl. Comes, one syllable. Even when you add s, it remains the same. I mean, in terms of the number of syllables. Come, one syllable. Comes, again, one syllable. I can write all of them, but it takes time, so I just write 1 or 2 on top of them. Dance to, very good. Very good, sweet. For example, I dance. My sister dances. My sister dances. So this is going to be number 2. You get an extra syllable. extra syllable. Dances, washes, good, RCH, good. Washes is 2 syllables. Good, Parisa, nice. Washes. Washes. The next one you can see is 1, yes. Because you just get Z. See, I see someone, she sees someone. So I see someone, she sees someone. Just get an X. You don't get an extra syllable. You have 2 more, push and pull. Push and pull. Push is not 1, RCH. Push, pushes, good Parisa. Push is 2. I think you were not in the class at that time, RCH. I told you, whenever you have sh sound, it's S. Pushes, ES. Pushes, is, pushes. Or J sound, like judges. Or Ch sound, all of them. Se sound, Z sound. Pull is number 1, good, sweet. I pull the door, she pulls the door. Good, she pulls the door. Nice. So I think that's pretty much it here. Do you have any questions you can ask, or we go to the next part? Good, I'm gonna say. Pull, pushes is number 2. Pulls is 1, good, RCH. The next part, it says these speakers are not pronouncing all the consonants at the ends of some words. What are they saying? Write the sentences. So they say something like this: hands up, hands up. So actually what they're saying is hands up, right? Hands up. They are dropping a syllable. No, they're not dropping a syllable. They're dropping a sound, and they're dropping a consonant sound. As I told you, they sometimes say like hands up. So they don't. It's really hard for them to say hands up. So they say hands up. Hands up. The next one here sounds like there are many different kinds of whale. So can you spell this for me? The pronunciation that he uses is kinds. There are many different kinds of whale. Yes, I'm Rasan. I'm a teacher of ILI. Very good, RCH. Kinds. This is actually what the word was, and then he reduced the syllables. Kinds. Good, English lover. Next part. Good, Amarasa. This guy sounds like my favorite blank chemistry. There has to be an okay, my favorite, this is the pronunciation. Subjects. Subjects. Good, subjects. But I think there has to be something else. For example, my favorite subjects are chemistry and physics. Subjects. I'm not sure. But anyway, this was the word, subjects. Subjects. Good, I'm saying. Good, English lover. Good, sweet. Good, RCH. Good, Parisa. Okay, so finally the last one sounds like the wind's very strong today. The wind's very strong today. The wind's very strong today. So that actually was What was it? I mean, what must it have been? That's a long sentence. Can you guess what the speaker said? I think that must have been the winds. Good, Parisa. That must have been the winds. So the speaker probably said the winds. The winds. Okay. Good. Final part. Listen and choose what you hear. Okay? I'm going to play it for you.
27. 1,
Miss Fox's boxes.
2,
My
B28,
sings, goes, get.
B29. 1,
I saw the bird fly away.
2,
I saw the bird fly away. I saw the bird fly away.
So do you hear I saw the bird, or do you hear I saw the birds? If you think it's hard to type it, you can also write A or B. The first one is A, the second one is B. I don't know, saying which section of biology do you teach? Adults. Basic 1, Basic 2, Basic 3, Elementary, Pre, Intermediate, all of them. All the adults level. If you are above 13 years old, maybe I see you in ILI. But kids, no. Kids and teenagers, no. I don't teach. I'm not a good teacher when it comes to kids. Yeah, I saw a bird. So the answer is A.
2,
What time did the guests leave? What time did the guests leave?
2,
What time did the guests leave?
What time did the guests advanced 3? I never taught that, but I studied that. So it says B. What time did the guests leave? Yeah, I also heard the plural S. Guests.
Guests leave.
2,
What time did the guests leave?
IRNJBR. Number 3.
3,
He broke his arms in the accident. He broke his arms.
3,
He broke his arms in the accident. He broke his arms in the accident.
So what do you hear? He broke his arm or he broke his arms?
3,
He broke his arms in the accident.
The people on Telegram, if you're waiting for me, I'm sorry, I'm reading the chats here because the students are answering on the live. Good English lover. Arms. It's the plural S. He broke his arms in the accident.
4,
She sang the song her father wrote. She sang the song her father wrote.
So do you hear the song or do you hear the songs? Listen again.
4,
She sang the song her father wrote.
She sang this. Good. A Parisa, yes. She sang the song her father wrote. They're talking about one song. Good English lover. Good RCH. He sang the song her father wrote.
She sang the song her father wrote.
Good sweet.
5,
Where does she park her car at night?
Where does she?
Where does she park her car at night?
5,
Where does she park her car at night?
Where does she?
5,
Where does she park her car at night?
Good. Car. A. Yes. Emerson says, I finished ILI. I want to become a teacher of ILI. How to do? Okay, Emerson, send me a message. I'll tell you about it. There's basically an interview, and then there is an exam, like a TOEFL exam or something. But you don't need to have TOEFL. Even if you don't have it, they will give you a sample test. If you do okay in the exam, they will hire you. And then there's the interview, which is the most important part, where you are supposed to teach. So there are some more parts here. Let's do it and we're done.
6,
I read the books very quickly.
6,
I read the books very quickly.
That was easy, right? Because this one was like the plural really stands out with that se sound. I read the
books very quickly.
good, sweet. I read the books very quickly.
7,
The bag fell on the floor.
The bags or the bag. What do you hear?
Books very quickly.
7,
The bag fell on the floor.
Good Parsa, good RCH. Books. What about number 7? The blank fell on the floor. Good Parsa. The bag. If it was bag, you should say bags. But it doesn't say bags, so it's the bag.
7,
The bag fell on the floor.
8,
The shop will be closed.
not,
The shop will be closed.
8,
The shop will be closed.
Good RCH. The shop. The shop will be closed. Right?
9,
When will the class begin?
9,
When will the class begin?
The shop will be closed.
9,
When will the class begin?
When will the classes or class? When will the class or classes? What do you hear? Good Parsa. Class. It's singular, not plural. When will the class begin?
The shop will be closed.
9,
When will the class begin?
When will the class begin?
10,
The boxes won't be big enough.
10,
The boxes won't be big enough.
Will the class begin?
10,
The boxes won't be big enough.
The boxes won't be big enough. Box or boxes? What do you hear? A or B? Boxes. Good Parisa. English lover. Boxes. Pronunciation is like this. Boxes. The boxes won't be big enough.
When will the class begin?
10,
The boxes won't be big enough.
Okay, good everyone. That was a great class. I'm going to stop it here.